You made it to this video because you are curious about how to trade in highly unpredictable markets. You want to know how to make sense of the chaos that the structure of the Forex market truly is. Support, resistance, trend, what does it all mean? Candlestick patterns, price action patterns. It's all a big blur until you use what I'm about to show you in the rest of this video. So if you want to know how to make sense of the chaos that the Forex market truly is, then make sure that you click the subscribe button down below the video and the notification bell, because we come out with videos like this 2 times every single week. Click that like button for me while the intro and disclaimer roll, and I'll see you directly after. So before we get started with today's video, I actually have a quick story for you. This is actually the second YouTube video that I've produced today. You see, the first one was going to talk about how to create a strategy based around trend continuation. It was going to talk about all the different conditions and entry reasons that you can use. I already had the title in mind, which is going to be The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Trend Continuation Trading. I had everything set up. But during that video, something pretty remarkable happened. I actually discovered a pretty badass strategy, and I decided that the content in that video was a little bit too valuable to just produce and release to everyone here on YouTube. You see, I only want real action takers to actually have access to this strategy. So for that reason, I decided to implement it into the EAP training program. But the good news is that for the next 7 days, I'm actually going to leave it up for free. All you have to do is click the link in the description labeled free strategy, and I will send it directly to your inbox. Again, this is only for the next 7 days. After that, I don't really know what I'll do with it. I may still upload it and have it as YouTube content, but the point is that right now, you can get the strategy for absolutely free. You can go ahead and start testing it and implementing it into the markets and seeing if you enjoy the way it works. It's a trend continuation strategy, and it's a full 25-minute video about trend continuation that's extremely valuable. So if you want access to that for absolutely free, click the link in the description labeled free strategy and get your hands on that. Again, all you have to do is put in your email address, and I'll send you a link to that video directly. Now, for video number 2 today on YouTube, what we're going to look at is the top 5 major pairs. I'm going to break these pairs down. I'm going to show you guys how to actually make a little bit of sense out of the chaos that the Forex market truly is. And we're going to start that off here on the euro dollar. So how do we make sense of this ridiculous chaos that we see, at least in this section right here, right? This section right here is just straight up ridiculous. There's no way that you can look at that and go, I know exactly what the market's going to do, or I know how to predict what the market's going to do, right? Well, that's actually wrong. What if I was to do this and show you how to actually read trends? So if we're reading trends correctly, at least based on the way that I personally read trend, then we know that right now we still have a pretty high likelihood of this market continuing down and at least touching this level of structure. Now, will it happen? High likelihood doesn't mean 100%. It just means that it's likely to happen. It doesn't mean that it definitely will happen. So don't necessarily hold me to this if it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, it's just one of the about 44% chance that it's not going to happen, right? It's just part of the statistics. But the reason we know that is what's important. This is what you really need to be looking at. We have a high here, and this is how you make noise out of the chaos, or at least it's how I do based on the way I read structure and trend. We have a high here. We have a market pushing down to a low, pulling back up, pushing down. This is now putting us into our 1, 2, 3 downtrend situation. We know now that we have a downtrend. We then get another pullback up. We get a pullback down. Now, in through here is what would confuse 90% of the traders. They'd be like, what does this mean? Is this period of consolidation? What do I need to do during this period of consolidation? Well, that's a good question, but what if I told you nothing? What if I told you that right now we're actually still in an overall trend to the downside on the euro dollar? And the reason we know that is because we haven't broke and closed above this high. And until we do so, we know that we still have a statistical advantage for this market to continue down, at least touching this level of structure before going higher and breaking above this resistance level. Now, why is this powerful information? Why does this even matter? Well, because we know now we have a bias based on our daily chart analysis. This top-down approach tells us that right now we should be looking for short trades. And why is that the case? Well, right now I'm going to be looking for short trades because, one, we're at a very high probability area of this market turning around, which we have seen already in the past. We've seen this market hit this level and push down, hit this level and push down. The only thing that does worry me is the fact that we're pushing up to this level with higher lows. But I do believe that we'll get a pullback, possibly all the way down to this support level, and initially at least down to this trend line. What does that tell me? That tells me to look for short trades with targets somewhere around the 1.135 level. So if we take this down to a smaller time frame, let's actually jump all the way down to the 1 hour chart, and we look in this area. What we can say is, okay, if we get a trading opportunity in this area, where's our 1.135? It's right down here in this area. So if we get a trading opportunity here somewhere, then we could look at a trading opportunity to be something like this. Is that giving me a more than one-to-one risk reward? Yes. What are we looking for here? Any type of entry reason, guys. It doesn't matter which one you pick, because it's not like right now you need to be placing trades based on this. This is analysis I'm doing and I'm sure about because of the amount of times I've tested in the market. You need to do the same exact thing. Take this knowledge, right? The fact that we're in a downtrend on the daily chart and at a daily level of resistance. Test that through historical data, hundreds and hundreds of trades, and see what the best entry reasons to use are. You can use anything from as simple as a color change, where the market goes from green to red, the candlesticks, to a double top or double bottom, to a price action pattern, to a candlestick pattern. It's completely up to you the kind of entry reasons you use. But doing the preemptive analysis, the top-down analysis of looking at the daily chart, can cancel out the noise and at least give you a bias to one direction. So here on the one direction, like the band, that's kind of funny. Here on the chart of the euro dollar, we know that based on our daily chart analysis, we have a downtrend bias, and that can be highly beneficial to our trading. So personally, what we're waiting on here is a move down from this area, this green box that we're in. We're expecting that move down to at least hit the trend line of this ascending wedge we're seeing off of this support level, and possibly make it all the way down to around 112. That's what we're expecting out of the euro dollar. We'll now move on to our next pair. Our next pair is going to be the the pound dollar. So let's go ahead and move on to that chart. We actually just had a winning trade based on this exact approach here on this pair. What is that winning trade? As you can see on your screen, I'll actually drop down to a smaller time frame and show you guys that first. The same exact approach. We're looking at major levels of structure and trend on a daily chart. We'll do that in just a second. And here we actually had a trade based on entries that we use at the EAP Training Program. I'll post a screenshot of this trade alert to the left-hand side of your screen. I'm not sure which side that'll be, but you'll see it on the screen. This is an alert we sent out earlier this morning, so it ended up being a day trade. It's already hit first targets. We have moved our stop loss to break even, and we're waiting on second targets to be filled. Now waiting to see if this market can continue to the downside. Now, why are we expecting that? Let's go ahead and do the same analysis from the daily chart. As we zoom out to the daily, you can see that this looks like chaos again, right? Like, a lot of traders look at charts like this, and the reason they have no idea what to do is because they have no rules for structure or trend. Therefore, they have no clue what they're looking at or what's likely to happen based on what they're looking at. What I know is that this market pushed down, created a low here, a high here, pushed down in a trend continuation, giving me a 1, 2 with this little pullback up, 3 move, putting me into what I consider a downtrend. Now that I know I'm in a downtrend, what am I looking for? Well, the first level I was looking for is this level of support. I took a trade from here and actually got a 1-to-1 risk reward out of that trade, stopped out for break even on the second part of the position. The second place I'm looking for is back up at the previous resistance. How did we just draw those lines, right? We have our move down, our move back up. That resistance level also going to be important. As you can see, it's already been important and pushed the market down. We expected the same thing from here. As we push up into that level, got an entry reason on a smaller time frame. We've already hit our first target at a 1-to-1, and the reason we decided to trade from this level is because it was our most previous level of resistance in this downtrend. We know it was a downtrend because of the rules I just showed you. We know this is our most previous level of resistance. Well, because it's our most previous level of resistance. So that's exactly why we entered this trade on the pound dollar. That is going to be considered a good trade because we've already hit our first targets. Our stop loss is at break even. Obviously, what we want to see happen out of this pair is a continuation to the downside. That would be remarkable, at least for this specific trade. But that's also what we're expecting based on this daily chart analysis. We're basing this analysis on the fact that we have a 1, 2, 3 downtrend, market coming back up into that level. Now we're expecting another trend continuation play, a break below this support level in order to continue in that trend to the downside. That's what we're looking at on the pound dollar. Now we'll go ahead and continue. We're looking at the dollar yen now. significant situation just happened on this pair. It was called the flash crash, I do believe. I looked at it a little bit, a couple of articles about it, just reading up on it. But what we can see that just happened is something called a reversal scenario. We had a market pushing up, pushing down, pushing up, pushing down, pushing up, and then we get this big reversal and the push up. What do you think we're expecting now? Now we're expecting, I'll go ahead and actually draw some horizontal lines on the chart, this market to come up to what levels it just broke. This is one of the levels it just broke, and this is one of the levels it just broke. So we're actually sitting at a previous level of support that was broken here on the dollar yen. What are we expecting from this level? Trend continuation. And if we get a little bit higher, then we'll be looking at 109. Excuse me, I stumbled all around that. 109.96. We'll be looking there for shorting opportunities as well. So those are the two places we'll be looking for shorting opportunities on the dollar yen. That's what we're expecting out of this pair, is trend continuation to the downside, either from 108.76 or 109.96. That's what we're looking at on the dollar yen. We'll go ahead and move on to our next pair now. And actually, before we do, how are we going to look for those situations? Well, we're going to drop down to smaller time frames, 4-hour or 1-hour charts. We're going to look for specific candlestick entry patterns at those levels, and we're going to expect for that to win around 50 to 60% of the time, and for that to give us a more than 1-to-1 risk reward. These things aren't set in stone. I don't have a 100% chance of this market hitting 108.73 and it going down or continuing in trend. There's nothing in trading that's going to give you a 100% chance. Something that's important to mention is that we're doing this based on statistical advantages we know we have based on historical testing. We've tested this thousands and thousands of times in historical data. That's why we know we have a statistical advantage using specific entry reasons at these specific levels. So let's go ahead and move on now. Again, what we'd be looking for: specific entry reasons, specific price action patterns, or candlestick patterns or indicators at this level to go overbought, oversold, whatever your indicator is. That's what you would want to do, is point out these levels on a higher time frame, look at them with a microscope on a lower time frame, and actually point out specific entry patterns you're going to use, and then test that through historical data, and then actually demo trade it, use it in your trading. That whole process is way too long for me to actually go through in this video. If you want to learn more about creating an entire trading plan, a link for the EAP training programs in the description below. Right here, we're going to go to the Aussie dollar. We're going to look at this on a daily chart. This was also a part of the flash crash, which broke below this support level right here. Once we break below that support level, what are we looking for? Well, if it's a big break, we're looking for the pullback into that support level. Since this was a big break when you count the wick, but when you count bodies, it actually wasn't that big of a break of support. We're now looking up at previous levels of support and resistance, which are here and here. So let's draw horizontal lines on those. We're looking right here and right in here, which means that when this market gets up to 0.7171, that's an area we're looking for a shorting opportunity out of the Aussie dollar. When we get up to 0.7229, that's another area we're looking for shorting opportunities. Again, we'll be dropping down to smaller time frames, looking for specific candlestick entry patterns, price action patterns, or indications that we're going to see a move lower out of this market at those two levels. And finally, the final pair of the day is going to be the dollar Swiss. Here we are on the daily chart of the dollar Swiss. Let's delete that. Go ahead and zoom in a little. Here we've had a reversal situation. We had the market pushing up, right? From here, we'll start, we go up, we push down, we push up, we break resistance here. So this is our new high. We then break below support here, putting us in a possible reversal situation. We break up, we have our pullback and our push down. Now this is the situation I'm talking about when I say 1, 2, 3. This actually puts me into a downtrend. It's not just a reversal anymore or a possible reversal situation. Now it's a significant downtrend. In a significant downtrend, what are we looking at? Remember, we pushed down to here. We're looking here for possible trading opportunities and up here at resistance. What happened? We pulled back to our previous support. We didn't get any kind of entry. We pulled back up to resistance. I didn't actually trade this, so I don't know if it got an entry, but here we found resistance again. We pushed down, and now we're just in a continuation of that trend. We haven't quite got a 2-candle pullback, which is what I specifically look for in order to classify this as the pullback. So what we're in is just this impulsive leg of the actual downtrend. We're waiting on a pullback. If we get a pullback, we'll look for a pullback to this level, and directly after hitting this level, that's where we're going to be looking at for possible trading opportunities. That level is around 0.99 even. So that's what we're looking at on the dollar Swiss, is looking for the market to pull back to 0.99 even. And guys, this is exactly how you break up the chaos and turn it into something that's actually viable, something that you can actually trade around, is by understanding the rules we just talked about for trend and structure and making very specific entry reasons on those specific areas and based on those specific rules. This is how you go from someone who's wondering what happened, wondering how it happened, to someone who knows exactly what they're going to do in every situation. And if you want a little more advanced help with that, then we do have a link in the description for the EAP Training Program, where I talk you through the entire process of building a trading plan. This program has already helped hundreds of traders. One of them, actually one of our star mentees, one of my star students, is Matico. His YouTube name, I think, is Crazy Croat. It's something like that, something a little weird, but he's a fantastic trader. And he just sent me an email and actually just sent me a YouTube comment I posted on the screen of having like 5 profitable weeks in a row, I think, and making a ridiculous percentage over those 5 weeks and saying thank you for the EAP training program. So this program, what it does is actually walks you through this entire process. It's not just pointing out levels of structure. We walk you through the process of building trading plans around these specific strategies. We show you the strategies themselves as well. So if that's something you're interested in, if you want to be sending me a comment in the next couple of weeks talking about having 5 profitable weeks in a row, then what you can do to find out more about that program is click the link in the description labeled EAP. If not, that's totally fine too. Just make sure you're subscribed here to the trading channel to be alerted when we come out with free YouTube videos like this each and every week. Make sure you click that link in the description for the free strategy if you haven't done so already, and I'll email that directly to you. That's only going to be available for 7 days, so make sure you do that. And also, I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you trade green. I will talk to you in the next video.
We'll be right back.